The sound woke me before I understood what it was. It took a few seconds for my eyes to adjust to the light. White ceiling, white walls, a slow mechanical beeping somewhere to my left. My body felt heavy, uncooperative, like it didn't fully belong to me yet. Hospital. The word formed quietly, without panic at first. Then I turned my head. Machines, tubes, an IV stand beside the bed. For one brief, disoriented second, I thought of Silva. I thought I had fallen asleep in the chair next to her bed, that I had dozed off listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing. And then it hit me. This isn't her room. This is mine. The memory came back in fragments. The hotel lobby, Novak's face, his voice, motivation. The way the room had tilted, the way my ears had started ringing. They know. My chest tightened. I swallowed, suddenly aware of how dry my throat felt. I scanned the room instinctively, my eyes moving to the door before I even realized why. For a moment, a stupid, hopeful moment, I expected to see David standing there. He wasn't. Instead, there was a uniformed officer just outside the glass panel, leaning slightly against the wall. Not looking in, still unmistakably there. My stomach dropped. My things were piled neatly on a chair beside the bed. My coat, my scarf, my bag, my phone. I reached for it without thinking, then froze when the IV line tugged at my arm. A sharp reminder that I wasn't free to move the way I wanted. I shifted carefully, heart racing now, and managed to hook the chair closer with my foot. My hands were shaking when I picked up the phone. I was sure there would be something, a missed call, a message, anything. Of course he would have tried. Of course he would have called. He wouldn't just disappear after that night, after everything. I unlocked the screen. Nothing. No notifications, no missed calls, no messages waiting. I refreshed it once, stupidly, as if the signal might suddenly catch up. Still nothing. The disappointment hit harder than I expected, hard enough that my vision blurred instantly. I felt the tears come before I could stop them, hot and sudden, spilling down my cheeks. I pressed my hand over my mouth, a quiet, broken sound slipping out anyway. Why am I crying now? I hadn't cried when they told me Robert was dead. Not properly. I had felt empty then, hollow, like the shock had sealed everything inside. And now I couldn't stop. I cried because David wasn't here, because he hadn't called, because I didn't know if he was angry or hurt or already convinced. I cried because I didn't know how to explain the truth to anyone else, because without him, I didn't know how to explain it at all. My gaze drifted back to the door. The officer hadn't moved. He wasn't here to protect me. He was here to make sure I didn't leave. Novak's words echoed again, sharper this time. Everything gives you a motive. I tried to rehearse it in my head. The explanation, the confession, the part where I stopped myself, the part where the gun was still there when I left. It all sounded weak, unreal, like something no one would ever believe. David would have believed me. And he wasn't here. The doctor came in quietly, without ceremony. I barely noticed him at first. I was still staring at the floor, trying to slow my breathing, trying to convince my body that nothing else was about to fall apart. He greeted me by name, asked how I was feeling. "I'm fine," I said automatically. He didn't argue, but he didn't agree either. He pulled the chair closer to the bed, glanced at the chart in his hands, then back at me. "You fainted," he said gently. "Collapsed, actually. From what we can see, it wasn't neurological. No stroke, no head injury." I nodded, even though my head felt foggy, like his words were reaching me through water. He asked a few routine questions: dizziness, nausea, chest pain. Then he paused. "When was the last time you ate?" The question caught me off guard. I opened my mouth to answer, "Yesterday, maybe?" and then stopped. Yesterday wasn't true. Neither was the day before. The realization settled slowly, uncomfortably. I counted backward without meaning to. The night I went back to the house, the gun, the road, the hotel, David. I hadn't eaten since then. 3 days. The doctor didn't rush me. He waited, watching my face carefully, as if he could already see the answer forming there. "I'm not sure," I finally said. "It's been a while." He nodded, unsurprised. "That lines up," he said. "Your blood work shows dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. We started fluids right away. You're responding well." Electrolytes, fluids, words that sounded distant, technical, harmless. He explained that stress alone could do this. Combined with lack of food, lack of sleep, it was enough to bring the body down, even if the mind kept pretending it could function. "You need to eat," he said, kindly but firmly, "and rest." I nodded again, obedient, ashamed. "There's no indication of anything more serious," he continued, "at least not medically." He glanced down at the chart once more. "And aside from other injuries," he added, almost casually, "everything seems to be healing as expected." I didn't react. I didn't ask what he meant. The words slid past me without anchoring anywhere, filed away as unimportant compared to everything else pressing in on my chest. A nurse came in a few minutes later, adjusted the IV, asked if I felt up to eating something small. I wanted to say no. The thought of food made my stomach twist. But she raised an eyebrow, patient but insistent, and I found myself nodding. She returned with tea and dry biscuits, left them on the tray within reach. I stared at them for a moment before forcing myself to comply. Each sip felt deliberate, each bite an effort. My throat resisted, tight and sore, but I swallowed anyway. This is what survival looks like now, I thought, following instructions. When the tray was cleared and the IV finally removed, the room felt quieter, heavier. I lay back against the pillow, knowing this wasn't over, only paused. Inspector Novak came in after the nurse left. I heard him before I saw him, his steps in the hallway, the pause at the door, a knock that was more habit than necessity. He asked if I was feeling better. I nodded, even though I wasn't sure what better meant anymore. His eyes didn't stay on my face for long. They dropped, just briefly, to my neck. That was when I realized. This was what the doctor had meant. Other injuries. The scarf was gone. They must have taken it off when I collapsed. At some point, I hadn't been there to stop them. At some point, my body had been handled without my permission. And now, there was nothing left to hide behind. For the first time in days, my neck was completely exposed. I felt it instantly. The heat of it, the shame, as if everyone could see what I had worked so carefully to cover, as if the room itself had noticed. Novak didn't say the word. He didn't have to. "We'll need to talk about this," he said quietly. When he said this, I knew exactly what he meant. Not the case, not the statements, not Robert. This. He told me we would talk later, when I felt stronger, when I was ready. His voice was professional, but not unkind. Then he offered to drive me back to the hotel. I refused. He insisted once. I insisted back. I said I would take a taxi. I said it calmly, like this was a normal decision, like my hands weren't shaking inside the blanket. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. Before he left, he said my name again. Not sharply this time, almost gently. After he was gone, I got dressed slowly. I pulled my coat closed all the way to my throat. I didn't know why I was going back to the hotel. I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. I was just following instructions, the way I had been doing for days now. Outside, the cold hit my face and cleared my head just enough to hurt. All I could think about was David. I needed to talk to him. I needed him to hear it from me. Everything. Not just what I remembered. Not just what was true. Even the worst part. Even the part I was ashamed of. That somewhere inside me, there had been a moment, more than one, when I had wanted Robert to die. I hadn't killed him, but I had wanted it. And David needed to know that too.